Oh, here we
Well, hi
are.
again.
Hello.
Hi
Let's
there.
check.
I,
How's it
I'm
going?
back home again. I'm not in
Yes,
the,
I can tell.
but happy to be here.
Well, it was fun trying to connect with you out there in the world with your little satellite dish on your head and stuff. Uh,
Well,
but
there'll be others, and we're fine tuning the system for the next
I,
time.
I want you to be able to do it. It's really, really fun that you were out there on site, and I know you're going to get it sorted out. It was mildly frustrating not to be able to do it properly, but it's nice to have you at home with a stable connection. And oh man, here we are again running out of superlatives for this show.
Yeah, boy, a really nice Cassidy there as the penultimate statement of that set.
Well,
With
the
some
the
beautiful
segue
places.
into it too, the end of Bertha, it just they just sort of double clutched right into this nice new thing there. There's a lot of that. There's for music that's largely improvisational, there's a lot of precision stuff going on. Among these top-notch players, it's quite rewarding to listen to.
Yeah, the channel into Cassidy actually bore some resemblance to the jams that go into Jack Straw, and then maybe someone said, "Oh wait, check the set list. We played that one already. Now let's go play Cassidy." But maybe that
Oh,
probably wasn't the case, you know.
no.
But
Well,
the whole
well,
set was pretty cool. Starting with something interesting before Hell in a Bucket.
yeah, I enjoyed that jam quite a bit. I'll just run down the set list since I have it written
Okay,
down right in front of me here. They open with that beautiful jam into Hell in a Bucket, Alabama Getaway, Jack Straw, Big Boss Man with some really, really nice sort of band stuff that I'd never heard the Grateful Dead do it that way. Really nice. A sweet version of Fenario, and then that lovely trio of Bertha into that Cassidy we were talking about, and ending with Don't Ease Me In. It's just top notch dead music. What can I tell you?
let me say that jam into Hell in a Bucket was quite explicitly a Love Supreme. I mean that was not just a jam. There was the bass line and chord voicings of a Love Supreme, and I knew it was going to be Hell in a Bucket because the groove was the Bucket groove. So hearing a Love Supreme layered over that was uh, kind of audacious, I thought, and I loved it.
Okay, very good. I stand. My understanding is improved by your wisdom. Thank you. So we're here to explain the value of getting onto nugs.net. If you're watching this as part of the Nugs stream, you're already in the family and subscribing to one thing or another, or you've just bought tonight's broadcast or whatever. We're glad you're with us. We're going to talk to the people who are not yet members of the NugsNet family because Nugs asked us to do this fun thing in between sets. And part of our mission is to tell you how cool NugsNet is and how pleased we are to be part of their family because we get to help present this live stuff. They also have a huge library of performances in their archive and a streaming service to allow you to access it nowadays.
That's right, and the depth of that library is quite impressive. A lot of Grateful Dead family stuff, including Dead and Company shows going back, I think, to their second or third
2016?
tour,
Yeah.
2016. Um, and then a lot of the successor bands are on there, and Bobby Weir and Wolf Bros, and then second generation jam band Fish and Goose and Humphreys McGee and many others. And then stuff that's outside the jam band genre, very much outside of Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band. Both great archival stuff and the things they're doing right now on tour become available within a day or two after the show they play, wherever it is in the world.
Right.
And so much wonderful stuff. Wilco, one of my favorite bands. I dive into the Wilco pool a lot.
And another member of the NUG subscriber base it texted me to let me know that they've added Yes to the library. And I thought it would be really, really fun to do a little Who's on First routine. And I wonder if they have the Guess Who in their library.
Or the Who, right? That you'd have the
Right.
whole that
Right.
whole great bit by the Credibility Gap, the comedy group that did the
Exactly. So,
variation on Abbott and
yeah.
Costello. But
Yeah.
anyway, aside from that, Nugs is an incredible resource to people who love live music, and if you're watching this, we would guess that includes you. Of course, if you've already subscribed, you don't need any of this information from us. But if you're watching the second half preview, that means that you are maybe being introduced to this service for the first time. And we urge you to avail yourself of it, because I use it all the time when I'm not doing this job. I get plenty of Grateful Dead related stuff in all of my work. So I go and I explore some of the other stuff, and it's really a treat. So we recommend it highly.
We do. You can go to nugs.net /deadco. There's also livedead.co. And there are, introductory offers so you can check out their streaming service and stuff. But there's also direct access to downloadable audio files of tons and tons of different shows in various formats. And that's, again, something I use for my radio show. A couple of days after each show, after John Altschuler has done his excellent job of remixing them for the downloads, you can download tonight's show from nugs.net. I use that part of the library all the time. I have a massive collection of Dead & Company downloads that I've used to produce my radio shows with and stuff. So I'm a big fan of the downloadable stuff at nugs.net. We should probably introduce our pre-recorded feature before we get too deep into the weeds here.
That's right. Well, yeah, as you know, we've been interviewing a different guest each night. In past tours, we did almost all of them live, which had a little bit of suspense to it, whether the connection was going to work, whether the band was going to come back before we were done with the interview. So last year, we did the innovation of pre-recording interviews with band members, and that went so smoothly and caused less stress, especially to the people running the show here. Right now it's Lonnie Davis, and thank you as always, Lonnie, that we're recording all of them, and we even banked some in advance. We recorded 3 different interviews today, which will be coming up in the coming weeks, and we were really happy to record this one because it got us back together talking with a good old friend of ours.
Yes, Jeff Pehrson. One technical note on this. I was using my new M1 laptop, and somehow I was looking at the screen as it was supposed to be, with Gary and me on top and our guest on the bottom. But when I looked back at it to do the editing on it, it had switched itself somehow into speaker mode. So you'll be seeing our faces when we're asking questions and stuff, and then you'll be seeing Jeff. I subsequently, for today, I went back to using my older, more reliable machine, which seems to allow me to configure Zoom as I intended without overriding my free will. So for going forward, it'll be fine. But this one's going to be a little jittery with switching back and forth among us. But it's our pal, Jeff Pehrson, a lovely individual, a good friend and neighbor of mine who lives about a mile away from here, and has been a member of an amazing band called Boxed Set for 25 years or so, and also spent several years as one of the background singers in Further.
That's right, which is still remembered fondly by a lot of our audience. People talk about Further quite a bit, with good reason. I got to see them a bunch and hang out with Jeff a lot. Great person, great musician, and I think you'll really enjoy this interview. We won't be back after the interview. We'll go right back to the stage so the band can get back to business. So we'll thank you for tonight. We'll ask you to enjoy the second set and enjoy this interview with Jeff as well.
Thanks, everybody.
We're so happy to have with us an old friend who some of you may know from his longtime band Box Set, and a lot more of you may know from his years in Further with Bob Weir, Phil Lesh, and friends. Great singer, a great friend, Jeff Pehrson. Hey, Jeff.
How you doing, guys? Good to see you both.
Hello. Well, we've seen each other recently. I had you over to watch the show just last night. So
just last night.
We are neighbors as well as friends out here in Oakland, California. It's great to have you with us.
Well, it's great to be here. Thanks, fellas. Good to see you both, especially since I saw David yesterday. I haven't seen Gary in a number of years at this point, I think. So it's
even longer than the number of years we haven't seen anybody since the pandemic started. Right. There were several years in front of that. And it really feels like a long time, because Jeff and I used to see each other a lot, because I spent a lot of time around Further during those years the band was touring.
We were almost always there.
So it seemed. Even I wasn't like literally on tour, but you guys came to New York a lot, and I came to the Bay Area a lot. I was still kind of bi-coastal at the time. So we saw a lot of each other, and further was a wonderful little time in the history of all this, still ongoing history of all this, which is just so amazing. And it's really great to see you, and it's always been great to have you as part of this extended family.
Absolutely. We had some good times together. And one of the highlights for me was going to your birthday party that you shared with Ornette Coleman.
Oh, yeah.
That was just a phenomenal night, just getting to hang out with Ornette and having Bob there. And
Yeah.
I believe, what was Bob's quote from that night? I know what geniuses smell like, and he smells like a genius. That was it.
I love that.
So let's learn a little bit about Jeff Pearson's story. We both gleefully recount that the first time we ever met was at a gig down at the San Gregorio General Store on the peninsula south of San Francisco and west of where the Grateful Dead were born. And it was a big thing, and I forget the exact deal, but Jeff came over and said something like, "Damn hippies." And I said, "Those are my people."
Yep.
And he was
Right.
only half cranky about it, but he was
I was-
definitely, and hippies were kind of new to him. And so it's particularly interesting and quasi amusing that he wound up playing in a band completely aimed at hippies.
Absolutely. I was being tongue in cheek because I knew who you were. And I came up behind David and whispered in his, because there were some very hippie people dancing to the band that was on before we went on. And I said, "Damn hippies," in his ear, knowing it would get a reaction. And he turned to me and said, "Hey,
Okay.
man, those are my people." And I
Right.
went, "Dave, you can have them."
Okay. This reminds me of a great, totally irrelevant to anything, but a great line from a very jaded sort of punk rock friend of mine who found himself at a party in Santa Cruz with the hangers, plant hangers with ferns in them and macrame everywhere.
Right.
And my friend turned to me and said, "I'm suffering from a peaceful, easy feeling." Put it up with
That's
that.
great. I love that. That is great. And
But so you came to fame in your own right as a member of a very cool band called Box Set, which
Yes.
still exists. I just saw you guys at the Freight and Salvage a few weeks ago. But how did you wind up as a member of Further for what?
Well, I'm sure you both actually recall the old Sweetwater in Mill Valley, not the one that Bob owns now, but the old one that was up the street that was run by a incredible woman named Jeannie Patterson.
Oh, yes.
Jeannie took a liking to Box Set. And so it was very hard to get a gig at the old Sweetwater, as small as it was, very hard to get a show there. And in fact, oftentimes, I hate to repeat the story now, Jeannie's gone, so maybe she'll forgive me. She used to have stacks of CDs on her desk that she was supposed to listen to, and she did often listen to them. But there were other nights when I was in her office where she just went, right into the garbage can. But she took a liking to us, and and one of her best friends was Bob Weir. And Bob hung out there. It was like his little clubhouse down the hill from his house. And so Jeannie just started in Bob's ear about Box Set. You have to come see Box Set. Box Set's going to be the next thing, and yada, yada. And so Bob started coming to our shows and hanging out, and we got to know Bob. We got the thing that every young musician wanted. You get the invite up to Bob's house after your show, and you hang out, and then you end up at Bill Graham's old house, which Michael Klein then owned. And it was just kind of getting indoctrinated into this greater Bay Area music scene as young musicians. And it was wonderful. And so we developed a good friendship. Bob was well aware that Box Set involved a lot of vocal harmonies. And so when Further came along and Zoe left, I got the call because, and how it was put to me was, listen, we don't want to rehearse. We want we want somebody who can come in and just find the harmonies and do it. And I said, okay, yeah, I can do that. And they said, okay, in a month, we're going to play this Further Festival, and we're going to be doing, I think we did 6 sets, a whole album each set, as I recall. So you have a month to learn 300 songs. And so I was like, okay, thankfully, having seen 70 or so Grateful Dead shows with Jerry and another 70 or so Jerry Garcia band shows, I knew about half of them. But then the deep cuts, I had no idea. Like learning Blues for Allah, I will never forget. That was a rough one to learn. And then I found out when we did it the first time that I pretty much had a better handle on it than most everybody else. So I didn't feel so bad. But yeah, that's essentially how it happened, is that Bob used to come see us, and then, when they needed somebody, he knew he could count on me to find the harmonies.
Yeah. And I thought that was one of the best vocal blends ever to serve this music. You and Sunshine,
Thank you.
augmenting what the guys were doing. And I always felt like you helped Bob and Phil sing better, because they were at a more nurturing vocal place, than they had been in some time. And it really, they were very relaxed in it vocally, I thought, in the context of Further.
Yeah, I think it allowed them to relax a little more, and they would also kind of pick and choose when and where they sang more than they used to, because Bob knew that I would do it, and if Phil didn't feel like singing, I'd jump over to the low part. That was part of the show, is to watch the guys.
Oh, so it wasn't the same every night?
No.
Imagine my surprise.
Well, yeah, because I have a non-disclosure agreement, so I can only say so much, guys. But Phil did not like being doubled. So
who does?
Bob does not care.
Really? Wow.
Bob's pretty damn easygoing. I mean, he really is. He's the sweetest guy. I mean, he's a mensch, is what he is. But Phil, it's not like Phil was a dick about it. Right? Can I say?
Yes.
He wasn't a dick about it, but he was just like, I don't like being doubled. So if he was singing and wanted to sing, he always did the low part because he's got that beefy voice. So if he was singing, I would, because there were so many vocalists, I would generally double Bob. And when that would happen, a lot of the times on choruses, Bob would kind of back out a little bit and save his voice, and then get back on singing the verses, because we had JK, we had Jeff, and but when Phil would not sing, I'd pop over to the low part, so that got covered.
So you had 6 singers in that band?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's right.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of mix and match opportunities there. Cool.
Yeah, a lot of doubling, so that's to be expected with that many singers, and you only have a 1-3-5. So
okay, now I understand about doubling. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, it led to some gorgeously multi-layered versions of songs like Addicts of My Life, especially the one where you also had Larry and Teresa and Elvis Costello on that one.
What a night
at Radio City Music Hall.
What a night. That
was so. If you ever want to see a man having an out-of-body experience, look at video of Jeff Pehrson from that night, because I loved seeing you have those experiences over the course of Further, of walking onto stage at Madison Square Garden for the first time.
That was a bigger one.
And Bob and Phil, oh yeah, we've been here. Yeah, the room looks good. Yeah. And for the younger people in the band, that was a completely new thing, and you rose to the occasion too. Those shows were wonderful.
First time for me, first time for Sunshine, first time for Joey,
right?
First time for JK.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
We all had a big moment about it before we went on and talked about it. In fact, I vividly remember driving up, because it's on the 7th floor, which if you don't live in New York, people don't realize that
Right.
There's so many floors to it. So you're driving in, and we were driving up those ramps, and all of us were looking out the window going, song remains the same. It's from the Zeppelin movie. We're driving up the same ramp, it was just all those little moments.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a huge one. But that Radio City show, I did have an out of body experience because several of us were on mushrooms that night.
Ah, very good. I'm glad you can talk about that now. You
I
you've
can't.
done
I don't think
you
that was part of the NDA.
you've done some stuff over in the Jefferson Airplane
Yes.
universe as well. Let's talk about that. And didn't you teach songwriting out at Yorma's place?
Yeah, Yorma and Jack took Box Set out as the opening act. I want to say on 4 different tours. And so they would, we were a duo, they were a duo, so they just put us on their bus. So we got very close and became very good friends. I mean, Jim and I wrote songs for Jack Cassidy's first solo album and did that with him. And so yeah, so when it came time to do the 50th anniversary, Vanessa, Yorma's wife, and I guess they had decided to ask me to do the late great Marty Ballin's stuff, since
Oh.
he had passed. And so I got the call for that, and I, had to say yes. And I didn't have to learn 300 songs in a month, which was great. I just had to learn like 10 songs in a month.
Right.
That wasn't so hard.
And
But what a band. I mean, G.E. Smith, Larry and Teresa, my buddy Justin Justin Whip on the drums. He's a great drummer.
and the fabulous Rachel Price from Lake Street Dive. And that I was at the premiere of that configuration at the Lock-In Festival. And they basically, Teresa sang all like the Grace Slick hits. She sang White Rabbit and Somebody to Love. And I don't know who picked the repertoire for the show, but they had Rachel doing some really like obscure Grace Slick stuff like Lawman and
Lawman was great.
Eskimo Blue Day.
That was my favorite song of the entire thing.
Yeah.
Rachel crushed that. She crushes everything. I mean, who are we kidding? She, as a fellow vocalist, I hear her sing and I'm like, I should quit.
Yeah, she's extraordinary.
She's that good where you're just like, and Teresa Williams is no slouch, but when Rachel really gets going, it's insane. I mean, she's such a talent.
Yeah, and you were tasked with opening that set at Lock-In with 3/5 of a mile in 10 seconds.
Wow, what fun.
Absolutely crushed it. And that's of course the cut that also opens one of my favorite live albums ever, Bless His Pointed Little Head. So opening the set with that, and my pal singing the Marty part was really just, I think I had an out-of-body experience there. And I wasn't on mushrooms.
That's right. I wasn't that night either.
That's
completely
so
different situation with the Hot Tuna guys are sober, and that's all good. I totally respect that.
Well, Jeff, we're running out of time here. We have to turn it back over to the stage. Tell us what you're doing now and where we can find out. I know Box Set is performing from time to time because I got to go to an amazing show at the Freight and Salvage a few weeks ago.
Yeah, Box Set's still playing. We're currently writing for our 15th record, if you can believe that. Saying we're writing, and we're doing I think the next thing in the Bay Area we're doing is the Big Jerry Day celebration at the Jerry Garcia Amphitheater in San Francisco.
McLaren Park, yes.
McLaren Park, right. And then we have a big outdoor show up in Novato that Casey Turner, the local promoter, is putting on up there on September 16th. But other than that, we're writing and we're going to start recording soon. But yeah, boxsetband.com, you can find out what we're doing.
All right. Jeff Pehrson, lovely to see you again.
Great to see you.
To have you on Dead Air.
Yeah, man. So glad you got used to us damn hippies and wandered into our musical world.
Oh man, I wouldn't trade it for the world. It was the best thing that ever happened.
All right, man. Thanks, Jeff. And we're just going to throw it back to the stage. Second set by Dead and Company. And Jeff, hope to see you in person soon. It's been way too long, man.
Hope so too, buddy. Love you.
All right.
See you soon.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
same street. Your typical city involved in a typical daydream. Hang it up and see what tomorrow brings. Got a soft machine. Used to just close to New Orleans, New York. Got the ways and means, but just won't let you be. So most of the cats you meet in the street are true love. Most of the time they're sitting and crying at home. One of these days they better be going out of the door and down the shore. Like a two-dollar man once told me, you got to play your hand. Sometimes your cards are worth a dime if you don't lay 'em down. Sometimes the lights all shining on me. Other times I can barely see. Lately it occurs to me what a long, strange trip it's been. So what in the world ever became a sweet Jane? She lost all this buckle, you know she ain't the same. Living on red and violence and cocaine. All a Frank can say it's a fucking shame. Drug dealer up to Buffalo. You got to mellow slow. It takes time. You pick a place to go and just keep trucking along. to tell them to kick the door in again. Well, I'd like to get some sleep before I travel. But if you got a woman, I bet you're gonna come in. Busted down Bourbon Street, set up like a bowling pin, knocked down against the wearing fair. It just won't let you be. Oh no. You sit hanging around and you like to travel. You're tired of traveling and you won't settle down. Well, I guess they can't revoke your soul for trying. Get out of the door like a lover. Sometimes the lights are shining on me. Other times I can barely see. Lately it occurs to me. Well, long Thank